I
Okay.
did.
So this happens. This is, this is something that 50% of dogs will get cancer.
Okay.
And even holistically treated from day one, probably, I don't know that we have figures on that, but maybe 20% of those will get cancer. So this is the beginning of a journey for you of building health, and there are so many resources. Now, it would take me the next hour to list everything for you that you could be doing with your dog. But the most important thing is, number one, there is hope. That's the most important thing. Number two, be sure you're signed up for the summit that Dr. Jeff talked about.
Yes.
Because that's going to help you with your thinking about the cancer. So the more you can be present with, and this is for everybody, whatever the ailment is, if you can see how amazing your animal is, regardless of what else is going on, if you can focus on the whole being who's there, not the problem. And it's challenging because when you, especially if there's a lump or they're having trouble walking, you notice that, or they have bad skin problem, you notice that. And so as soon as you say in your mind that you see the problem, then you have to put that away and put it in a box and revisit it later in the day. Make your planning later in the day. And it's a challenge, but this is growth for us. Our animals are all here to teach us something. The third thing is you need to be working with a homeopathic or a very good Chinese medicine veterinarian. And Dr. Jeff will type in the chat holisticactions.com/select. And that will give you an article on how to find a holistic veterinarian with whom to work.
Okay.
And homeopathic veterinarians and some other holistic veterinarians will work virtually with you. So this is the answer for everybody. Okay, you need now, before your animal has cancer or a severe illness, or if they have it now, to create a healthcare team. And part of that is to have a really good holistic veterinarian working with you. And it's not easy to find, but it is definitely possible, especially with virtual help. So that's your next step. And Dr. Jeff, do you want to suggest 1 or 2 supplements that she might want to start? You have, I think, some immune boosting.
And also too, if I could just add at some point, I did get them on a couple of supplements that I found. They're through, I think it's called Life Gold. One's a mushroom one for maybe to help shrink the lump or to stop it growing. It's called Life Gold Pet Wellbeing. I don't know if you're familiar.
Okay, well, that's fine. So a mushroom supplement is good. That's a good company. So that's fine.
You've heard of that? Okay.
But again, that's in addition to working with a veterinarian. Okay. A holistic and homeopathic vet. What's the second supplement?
It's this one. It's the same company. I'm going to grab out of the fridge. It's the same company. This is actually the mushroom one. The first one I showed you wasn't the mushroom one, but this is, and it's the same company. So it had, when I first found out, this is just kind of what I was able to find. It seems like it has pretty clean ingredients and stuff like that.
Good, excellent. So I think you got your next steps, okay? And then you'll get tons of support if you become a member of Holistic Actions, because you can post in the forum and ask more questions. If you get stuck along the way, I do pet health coaching where I help you figure out what's next that we need to do. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
As far as the lump,
ignore that for now.
Okay.
Okay, ignore that for now. I've given you your next 3 steps to do.
Okay.
And remember, one of them was not to worry. As challenging as that can be.
So is there anything better supplement wise, Dr. Jeff?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to add anything, Dr. Jeff? I think she's got a good start until she gets her vet.
Yeah, and I would not. Again, that hour that you mentioned, Dr. Christina, supplements would not even be part of that hour. First thing I'd ask Anya is, what does your dog love to do more than anything else in the world? Because that area of cellular joy is how his own body is going to do the very best job getting rid of the cancer, because cancer of any kind is the disease of the immune system. When the immune system is not able to do its job, and when they and us, when we're in our joy, when we're, and this is confirmed now by research, your body is doing the best it can. There are tons and tons of supplements, but I would focus on joy and happiness first, and then cellular energy next, which you start with a fresh food diet. Mushrooms are great. And just keep going. There are things like Onco support that will kind of put everything together in a bunch of supplements. It's a powder you add to food, but if your dog loves the food, you don't want to be adding anything that, makes him love it a little bit any less.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Anja.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Kristen.
Hi.
Hi,
You
Kristen.
can hear me?
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Okay, so
Did you hear that, Mayur? I got on this.
That's for me. So I have a cat that has cerebellar hypoplasia, and
I got on this thing because of Anthony Williams. He recommends his vet, and they do forums.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, for muting. Okay,
okay.
Wonderful, Kristen. I've got to tell you, several veterinary friends of mine have cats who have hypoplasia, and usually they are the most wonderful cats, and they just work with you in a wonderful way.
Oh, I would, if I ever got another cat, it would probably be, I'd take one with CH again.
Great. So what's your question?
So, okay, her issue is in the past few years, she's had, so it's stress cystitis. That's what they're saying. Like she's had 2021, she had crystals and cystitis and her pH was 7. And then 2022, protein in blood in her urine. And then more recently, her x-rays were normal. But I catch her sort of peeing outside, and it's not my house anymore because I've sold my house and I had to move in with my parents. So it's like, and she has been bullied in the box before. So I think that's part of the problem, but I didn't know.
How many boxes, how many other cats are there?
Yeah, there's 4 total.
And how many boxes?
I have 4 because it's not my house.
I
5,
understand.
one's in the basement, but so I do have 5, but the basement's usually closed.
And so you may need to keep her separated if the peeing in the house is a problem for your parents.
Okay. The other problem would be that, if you do separate her, if you do, like, say, put her in a room, she will bang against the door, like throw her body against the door over and over again till she gets out. She's a very smart cat. But I had bought a couple products, and
What are the products?
Okay, so it's Adored Beast, and one was called Easy Peasy 1, and it has hydrangea, berberis, and it says it's in 13% alcohol base. So
that's a good product. It's fine to use. Don't worry about the alcohol. You can just dilute it.
Okay. Is it a product that I can put in her food? Because of cerebellar hypoplasia, it's hard to get her head to stay still to spray it in her mouth.
What I would do is the thing for everybody about putting things in food. Dr. Jeff?
I'm looking.
Okay.
But I don't
So
see
in order to, if you put it in the food, you never know, it might put them off their food, any supplements, any treatments. So it's best to put them in a treat and give it off time from when you do the feed, from her meal time.
Okay.
And is she being fed a raw food diet?
She is. So I just, in the past
Right.
week and a half, I switched to raw beef because she also has, like, her ears get all rashy. We don't know if it's from outside or if it's from food she's eating. So it's just strictly raw beef that I give her.
Okay.
Um,
Are you giving her calcium supplement?
no.
Okay, so two things for everybody. One is we have this thing called allergies, red skin. Oh, it must be something from outside. It must be the food. What it really is an imbalance in the energy field, which needs to be addressed with energy medicine of some sort.
Okay.
Number two is, forget what I was going to say. So your question was number one, beef, calcium. So
yeah.
the other thing is there's a lot of difference of opinion about what to feed. Certainly fresh food is the best, period, whether it's cooked or raw. Local is best.
Yeah.
But there's a whole range of opinions. What we all agree on is that you must balance the protein in the meat with calcium, because in the wild, they eat the bones and the meat and the organs. So you need organ meat and meat, dairy, eggs, etc., fish. So you need to be doing a calcium supplement. This is for everybody, unless you are feeding bones, and they can eat raw bones. So they can eat chicken necks, chicken legs, things like that.
This is a prepared raw food that does have bones and organ meats in it. So that's good. But how much calcium? Like I would check.
It depends. You'd have to, depends on weight, how much they're eating, all that sort of stuff. And so the other thing is, it's good to rotate if you're using a commercial raw food diet or any commercial diet, as well as food you make yourself. It's good to rotate the brand and rotate the protein. This is good. This is giving answers maybe to some people's questions as well.
Okay.
What else, Kristen?
So the products were like, it's through Adored Beast, and there was the Easy Peasy one I told you about, and then they have Easy Peasy 2. And that has cranberry fruit powder, D-mannose.
Give them a call to see. They're really, really, really good about, they have great customer service. And so I would talk to them and see which one would be better. I actually don't know which one of those.
Well, I think they're supposed to go together. It's like a product.
You give one and then you give the second one?
Yeah, like the second one's the powder. That you just you can add to the food.
And again, you could try adding that to the food, and if that product, I think you could try adding to the food, and if it doesn't bother her, then you can go ahead and just put it in the food. However, the other thing that's more important is to begin working with a holistic veterinarian to help you with all of the problems that you may run into. So that conversation we've had. And I mean, now start with that.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Another product, if the Adored Beast doesn't work, there's a company, Animal Essentials, and they have a great product called Tinkle Tonic.
Yeah, I ordered it.
Okay.
I just can't get it in Canada. So I'm waiting for someone to cross the border with my products to give it to me, and it's been months. But just one more question. I use reverse osmosis water. I wanted to make sure that's okay, because with the pH and everything, with the urine, you want it more acidic, right? I didn't know.
It doesn't matter. The water that's drunk doesn't change the acidity of the urine. I don't think. Dr. Jeff, chime in on reverse osmosis.
Yeah, no, it's fine, Kristen. And are the crystals, the pH really depends on the crystals. Do you know what kind they were?
No, and that they didn't find any recently. Like that was maybe 2 years ago, but recently I just got some urine from the carpet. So they weren't able to do like microscope, it was just basic pH. So that's why I didn't know if the products were okay, because I don't know if she has crystals right now.
Yeah, they're still fun to use, and the number one thing for your kitty is going to be environmental enrichment. As much as you can play and as much purring that you can promote, better.
Yeah. Okay.
And that may be actually even enough to have her rebalance internally.
Yeah.
It's amazing what our attitudes can do, and we can learn energy healing that you can do at home. So that's another piece that the more, so I recommend everybody have a holistic vet they work with and immediately learn a holistic approach, energy approach like Reiki, sound therapy, color therapy, flower essences, Eden energy medicine, Tellington tea touch, all of these. And we cover all of these in webinars at Holistic Action. So you can check in on those. And my newsletter, which is at my website is ChristinaChambreau.com. And my newsletter in March and April, I think covered all of those as well.
Okay.
So those are places you can check to get going on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And you've got the most important one, Dr. Christina.
Yeah.
And the reason I've got this background up is that energy is all around us and we know it. You know, it's right there. And the power of our mind, the power of intention, the power of visualization is amazing, Kristen. I mean, it really is. And if you go in your member area, you'll see Dr. Susan Seeley had a webinar about the magic of touch plus intention.
Yeah.
And Twina, which is a great thing that you can start doing right away, but basically they're just kitty massages.
Okay. Okay.
All right, we better move on.
Okay, let's move on to Susie had raised her hand individually. So go ahead, Susie. Unmute yourself, please.
Is she still here? Yep.
You probably should do somebody else right now because come back to me. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, Barb, go ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I have so many questions, so I'm going to start with the first one. Thank you, first of all, for doing this. I have he's a Great Danoodle, which is a Great Dane crossed with a standard poodle. So he's a big boy. He's 11 months old, and I'm kind of arguing with most of the regular people in life, other than people who get involved in this sort of education, about his neutering. I don't want to neuter him right away. He is non-neutered.
So here's the thing about neutering. Are you a member of Holistic Actions?
I am.
Okay, go to Sarah Chapman did an entire talk that you can, a course on spaying and neutering. So the bottom go ahead. So the bottom line is more and more research is showing that it's much better to not take away the hormones, and that it's better to do a vasectomy if that's needed for roaming or for population control, not needed if there's no problems in that area. So if he's a perfectly behaved poodle, then you don't need to worry about that.
He is a perfectly behaved little boy, big boy, and I'm really, if I do it, it's not going to be for a while yet because he is behaved. I don't have to worry about him roaming at all.
So don't worry about it. Next question.
One of his behaviors, however, is only with me. He doesn't do it to other people, and he's done it since he came home as an 8-week-old puppy. He humps me, only me, and no one else in the house, no other people. And he's after it's especially like after he eats, he's like, it's almost like he's crazed, like, oh, thank you so much for that food. I know that's not right.
So
but
have you tried training him not to do that?
I'm trying very hard. And I mean, he's I don't want to be gross here, but he's kind of obsessed with smelling me like another dog.
If that's the only time he does it?
No, he does it when he's excited, and he does it after he eats, and he's just, it's almost like he's a little crazed. Yeah.
After he eats, I would definitely I would just make sure that when you feed him, you absent yourself from where he is for the next, half hour.
Okay.
And work on that. And the second thing for everybody that's very useful is to take an animal communication course. So you can learn to actually ask your animals what's going on. And until you feel good at that, and sometimes it's harder with your own animals, but if you pair up with other people. And
Mhm.
usually when you do a course, you can do that. Then you do each other's animals.
Okay.
And in the meantime, you can hire somebody
Okay.
to communicate. Next
I've-
question.
I did that with my old dog. I did do that with her.
Excellent.
On the same line, it's been suggested to me by many people, because he is such a big dog, about doing a gastropexy on him to
Nope.
prevent torsion. No?
Nope. Feed him holistically.
Okay,
Now,
that's what I
Dr.
have to
Jeff,
do.
Dr. Jeff may have a little different opinion here. Go ahead.
A female dog that's going to have abdominal surgery anyway, a gastropexy is not.
It's a male dog.
He's a male.
Oh, okay.
If it was a female dog that was going to have surgery anyway, then yeah, I'd say no biggie. But for your guy, for major abdominal surgery,
Right.
because it might help, nah, just avoid, no elevated feedings, use a
Okay.
raw food diet, just do all the
Okay.
stuff there, and just put that idea out of your head.
Okay,
Because-
thanks, because I didn't want to do that, but I'm so scared of it. People frighten you about this, and he's been on puppy food, and don't panic, everybody, because yes, it's not great food, but I want to start to transition him to adult soon, and that's when I'm going to try to get to a holistic diet, but I have to figure out which direction to go and how.
So again, you're a member of Holistic Actions. Make
Yes.
sure you take the 101 course, which has a whole lesson on nutrition. Type
Okay.
nutrition in, read all the stuff we have on nutrition. And also we have a whole thing on bloating. So if you're worried about, if you want to have some first aid ready and learn about bloating, do some searches on the website. It's all there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Barb. Krista?
Okay, I don't know if you have any experience with guinea pigs at all. There are some good guinea pig vets. I'm in Oregon. There's some great guinea pig vets, but they are really heavy on the drugs. And I have one guinea pig that has she has guinea pig mites. It's Chirodiscoides caviae, and so she's on the Revolution, which is the flea and tick medication. And then she got infected, and so she was on antibiotics. Now they say, oh, she's got a fungal infection, so she's on ketoconazole, and she's miserable, and I'm really worried about her. She's 4.5.
So there are some holistic vets, some homeopathic vets who work by phone who will work with guinea pigs.
Okay.
I would suggest first call in, so that would be in that select article. But
Okay.
I would, where in Oregon do you live?
Well, I'm near Portland.
Okay,
So.
then contact Bob Ulbricht, Ulbricht. He has a
Okay.
wonderful holistic clinic, and it's in Tigard.
Okay, tired. Right.
Yeah, so contact him, and if he will help you, and if he doesn't know what to do, he'll find somebody who does. And he also has a veterinarian working with him, I think named Kevin. I can't think of his last name now. And he's having success with lipomas. So we're going to follow up on that, everybody, because we're all challenged. Everybody's asking about lipomas. So we're going to follow up and get some info from him. But so there are two vets there. If he can't help, the other guy probably can too.
Okay. One other question.
The other thing, Krista, is there's a wonderful book called, it's by Pottinger. It's called Pottinger's Cats, and it's all about raw feeding for cats. But he has a whole chapter on feeding guinea pigs where he did studies and stuff. And the bottom line is get the guinea pig outside eating grass or fresh eating weeds. The more you can do with that, the better. When they cut the grass and put it in a bag to use the next day, it decreased the value or increased the symptoms. So definitely do that.
Well, both of the vets that I've taken them to say no veggies, no fruit, no nothing, nothing but straw and
Yeah.
or hay and
No.
I've had guinea pigs in the past that ate a lot of fruits and veggies, and one lived to be 8, and
Yes.
I mean, they
Yeah.
did just
Oh,
fine.
wow.
So
Follow that,
And-
follow what you know.
what I do is I give them a lot of herbs. So I give them fennel and mint and basil and cilantro.
But
and-
even getting them outdoors, because when they're outdoors, they're getting some dirt, they're getting some stuff in their microbiome.
Okay, they do get acidophilus very frequently. So I'm
That's
trying-
good, but again, getting outdoors is a key. I built a fence for like a little pen that I could move and put my guinea pig in
Okay.
decades ago. Or sit outside. I know some people build a little cage, put it in, and they just sit with them for an hour, reading a book while they get their hour in the sun and all of that.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Sure. Steve?
Thank you very much for doing this. Appreciate you taking my question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
To give you just a real quick, short, brief context, I have a 14-year-old male cat. Early in his life, before we adopted him at age 5, he probably got assaulted with some vaccines. In fact, he was a few years after we owned him or got him because I didn't know any better. And shortly after we got him, about 2 years later, he started developing some vaccinosis symptoms. And first thing that I noticed was he was having this AM bile and acid stomach vomiting. And I finally found a homeopathic vet who I've been working with for like 5 years, and she's been pretty helpful. But the one problem that we haven't been able to sort of get a handle on with him is the bile vomiting. The phosphorus remedies seem to be the best working, and it seems to have a constitutional, that seems to be a constitutional remedy for him. And it worked so well earlier on that he went like 6 months without any episodes. It's worked a little less well lately, but the problem, there's 3 things that seem to go together. His voracious appetite, he's always had a great appetite, but it seems like when his appetite increases and it becomes almost insatiable, and if I met that insatiable appetite, if I fed him what he wanted, he would put on weight. So I try to portion control as best I can. But I know that when he starts to become insatiable, that's usually going to lead to an AM bile vomiting episode, and also pica. If he can't get food, he'll forage around on the floor for something he can eat to make himself, his stomach feel better. And I just don't, we both, my homeopath and I, not sure where to go with this, and didn't know if you guys might have some suggestions for how to, if this is something.
So here's you're bringing up a very, very valid point. Is homeopathy is not about finding the right remedy. Chinese medicine isn't finding the perfect set of points. It's about giving a treatment, and this is whatever kind of treatment you give. It's about listing all of the symptoms that are present currently, all of the symptoms you've had in the past, even before you switch to a raw food diet. This is useful. And then giving a treatment. So phosphorus seems to help in a lot of ways. However, it is not helping the totality of symptoms. It's not helping all of the symptoms. So then the next thing, if you're doing homeopathy, is you look at the symptoms that are remaining, which is the insatiable appetite and the pica, which is maybe a secondary symptom because it's more related to this insatiable appetite. And then you find a medicine that follows phosphorus well and particularly includes that insatiable appetite. Are you working with a human homeopath or a veterinary homeopath?
Human, but she's got like 20 years with animals and cats especially. That's kind of a focus for her. And here's the
Okay.
thing
Who is that? What's her name?
Her name is Julie Mann.
Julie Mann. Dr. Jeff, you know?
Mm-mm.
No, okay. So her name rings a bell for me, but
California.
so here, the other thing is when I was treating animals with homeopathy, there were times I got stuck and they weren't responding. And I would then refer that client to another homeopath because they would have a different perspective.
Right.
So this may be the time for you to switch to a different homeopath. So I would go to that article that we listed, holisticactions.com/select. But that's the idea. Now, it could be just that you need a different potency, but it sounds to me as if it's definitely a different remedy needed.
Well, here's the thing too, and maybe I wasn't clear enough. When we first put him on the phosphorus, 30C phosphorus, it addressed virtually everything that he was displaying in the way of behaviors and symptoms. The pica even went away, but the pica would be like one of the first things I'd start to see, and the increased appetite, the pica, and then I'd get a bowel vomiting episode. And typically,
so the quick question, we can't go into all the details. The quick question is, did you go up in potency?
yeah, we went to 200C.
And did that help as well?
It did help.
Then did you go up to 1M?
I tried it once, and it seemed like he had a lot of aggravations.
Okay, so you may, again, this would be an hour-long, 2-hour-long conversation. You know how long your human homeopath takes to work with you. So I can't do more today than say the possibilities is wrong potency. It needs a different potency of phosphorus. And that you'll tell by if everything went away and there was better feeling overall and no new symptoms appeared, then you might want to play around with phosphorus potencies differently.
Sure.
If not, a related remedy that follows phosphorus well, that focuses more on the first symptoms that appear.
One more real quick question for a general question. Do you believe that cats, typically domestic cats, do better with many smaller feedings during the day or one large?
You just got cut off. Do cats do better with many what?
Do cats do better feeding smaller portions, maybe 3 or 4 times across a day, or do they do better?
It depends. It depends on the cat. Healthy, there are cats who eat once a day. There are cats who eat every other day. There are cats that eat twice a day. There are cats with problems that have to eat more frequently. In general, I would say a healthy cat is fine eating once or twice a day. Dr. Jeff?
Well, I'm going to beg to differ.
That's fine. That's why we have both of us here.
Cats in the wild eat around 12 times a day. Their meals are crickets and insects and never more than a mouthful. But they may have 6 or 7 mice a day, but spread out throughout the day.
Right.
So
I wanted to ask you that, because my cat likes to eat like 3. He has 3 meals and then a snack.
Yeah. And that's okay, if as long as it works for her.
Yeah. But yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I just wanted you to wait, because my homeopath and I are having a little bit of a difference of opinion about that, like you and Jeff did. So.
And again, this is again, for everybody, one of the most important things to know is there is no one right answer. And that's one of the joys of holistic actions is we are not saying you have to do this or that. There are a few things. If you're feeding a meat diet, you need to supplement with calcium. One of the most important things in the world is to work on the energy level, to work on your spiritual side, to work on your thoughts, the intention. So we really focus on that a lot, but there's no one right way of doing that either. And so it's really important to realize different people have different opinions. And with your homeopath, all you do is say, well, let's do what works the best.
Right. Absolutely. We should be on the same page there, right?
Yeah, just whatever works the best.
Yeah.
We'll have you on the same page for sure.
And before we move on, Steve, I just want to add one other thing with an older kitty, and to remember that you said that your kitty is like 15?
14. He's 14.
You may want to vet check if you have to have blood work in the past 6 months or a year, because that's going to help define any internal symptoms in addition to the external ones. Right. Maybe you'll find out your cat's hyperthyroid, and the reason the appetite's going, and a big appetite and pica and vomiting, it's all part of hyperthyroidism. And it may be that phosphorus is the right remedy, and you're not going to find the right potency. You may need a different posology, meaning more frequent dosing based on the presence of structural changes in the thyroid.
Right.
And the only way to know that is going to be blood work. So
right.
That's even an option that you may want to add that in.
I appreciate that. Thank you both very much.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Ani, sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, yes.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. So I have a dog, she is 12 years old. She recently had a mammary gland tumor removed in July. and it came back as a grade 3 malignant cancer, carcinoma. And they tested her lymph nodes under her armpit, and they found cancer cells in there. And so I was thinking of going the holistic route, but I don't really have a holistic vet that I can rely on locally. I'm in Toronto, and most of them are not taking on new patients. And the one that I was with, guess didn't really work out. And so I've seen an oncologist. They've recommended Palladia for her, not chemo. And I kind of try to decide if I should do a conjunction of both holistic treatments as well as Palladia, because the prognosis they gave for her is about 2 to 4 months, they say, and with Palladia will be 6 to 12 months, and which kind of really scares me and makes me feel kind of pressured to take some action. And like historically, she's had long-standing problems, such as on her blood test, she's consistently had low white blood cell count, high reticulocytes, borderline low thyroid. And I know that like sometimes treatments also affect white blood cell count. And I've mentioned that to oncologists, but I don't think that they've said that she would be at risk for. They said there would be side effects, of course, but I'm just worried of making the wrong decision, especially because, oh, I'm glad you mentioned the holistic actions, because I didn't really know if it was possible to get holistic care virtually. That would be ideal for me, given the situation. And
well, actually, there are vets near Toronto that are holistic. So go to the article we talked about, holisticactions.com/select, read the whole article, go to every website. So that's step one, see if there is somebody else that is taking people.
Okay.
And then the second thing is what I just said a few minutes ago, there is no one right answer. And
Right.
so for everybody, when you're wrestling between conventional, combining the both, doing just holistic, it really is what feels right to you at the moment. And if it doesn't work and your animal does die or get sicker, don't berate yourself. You did the best you could at the moment. And so it's important not to agonize over the solution. It's more important to just get all the advice and then make a decision and go with it. And then Dr. Jeff, you can answer hopefully specifically about the treatment she mentioned.
And I just put a comprehensive link in the chat, Ani, that'll answer you a little bit about the tyrosine kinase. It's different. Palladia is a different kind of chemo that doesn't really have the toxic effects of many of the chemos, but you do want to be using it along with any holistic care, and especially mental and emotional and spiritual and energetic things that you can do at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible to be giving, I've had her on a lot of supplements. Is it possible to be giving too many supplements, or I feel like she needs them?
It is possible to give too many supplements. So a general answer, and then Dr. Jeff may be more specific, is anytime you're doing, I talked about rotating foods, it's important to rotate supplements as well. If you're doing probiotics, switch probiotics each time. You may end up with 3 or 4 that you like the best, that seem to work the best. And then you just rotate those 3 or 4. Same thing with foods, water, anything you run across. When you're doing supplements, you want to carefully look to see if they're overlapping at all, number 1. And number 2, try stopping, ask yourself, why am I giving this supplement? And again, there's no one right answer. Dr. Jean Hovey feels every cat should be getting 5 supplements just on a daily basis. I think maybe 1. So each of us has different opinions, and that's like a healthy cat. So look to see with each supplement, what ones are important. And then Dr. Jeff did mention the Onco, you want to say it again, Dr. Jeff? The supplement for cancer.
Onco support.
Onco support. So you may want to listen to that one.
Yes. And how do you, what's your opinion on fasting for cancer?
So for cancer, there's people talk about fasting and people talk about keto diet. And the answer is it depends on the animal. There's definitely validity in both of those approaches, and some animals thrive on it. It helps some animals, and other animals don't do well on it. You can try it and pay attention to the changes in what we call BEAM: behavior, energy, appetite, and mood. How are they feeling? So like after a day of fasting and then they eat, are they like better than they were last week, happier than last week? Are they just, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat. And then the next week you do it again and they go, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat. Then don't do fasting. Necessarily. It's not that any one of them is a magic answer, is sort of the bottom line. Make sense?
Yes, I understand. Okay, thank you.
And most important, what you're thinking, the intention that you're putting out, and definitely having a holistic vet on board.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So nobody else with their hand up. Susie has her hand up. She found out how to put her hand up, but now you have to find out how to unmute yourself.
Oh, no, I know how to do that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't figure out where the hand was. I do have a question about essential oils with kitties. My understanding is that it's really toxic for them, but I keep coming across holistic things that recommend using them. What do I do?
Well, again, this is a very common, I'm laughing because it's just such a common diverse opinion that people have. So people say, no, it's going to kill them. Yes, it's okay. It sort of boils down to the quality of the essential oil, number one. And there are a few essential oils that are more likely to cause problems. I was in a network marketing company that had amazing oils, and a French medical doctor was the one formulating them. This was for people. But he was also treating animals in his practice. And he'd been treating animals for 45, 50 years. He'd been treating cats with essential oils. He'd rub a little bit on their belly, and he had never once had any problem. Wow. Now, Melissa Shelton, and if you go to oilyvet.com, Melissa Oily, O-I-L-Y, oilyvet.com.
Got it.
That'll take you to her other site, but that's easy to say.
Oh, that's fine.
And she really talks about the quality of the oils, and she has combination oils on her site and single oils. So that's excellent. There are other sites, veterinarians. She's a veterinarian. There are other veterinarians who talk about using essential oils. Are you a member of Holistic Action, Susie?
Yes.
Okay. So what you want to do is put in the forum, put in essential oils, and post that question on the forum and put at Dr. Jean Hovey. Because she does have little more opinions, a little bit more towards not using them in cats as much. Okay. So it's just good to collect all the information. And the bottom line of any treatment, I mean, you definitely, if something is supposedly really toxic, don't do it. But when you have something like this, where a lot of people are saying yes, no, try it and see.
Well,
what
so
you notice.
Like you dilute it, and so then it's not as toxic. Is that?
No, that's not going to make a big difference. However, thank you for mentioning that, Susie. There is a product, when they make essential oils, they take tons and tons of flour, and they distill it. In the process of distilling comes the oil, but also there comes something called a hydrosol. That's the part that was soluble in water. Right. Those are 100% safe for cats. And there are many companies that sell hydrosols.
That's really valuable.
Sometimes they're not quite as effective, but it's always, that's true for everything.
Okay, so the one other question that I have for you is a while back, y'all had Anitra Fraser
Mhm.
on, and I got her book, which was wonderful. And-
Everybody, stop a sec. Everybody who has cats needs to have Anitra Fraser's book, The Natural Cat.
Okay, well, then you just answered my question, because we have all these healthy kitties, but in the last couple of weeks, we've had some sick kitties here. And so I'm like going through her book, and I've got 4 Paws, 5 Directions, and I have another one, and I'm like, I'm so grateful I have these books. And now you mentioned Pottinger's cats. I'm gonna get that too.
And that's
Um,
just, Pottinger's Cats doesn't tell you how to treat animals. Pottinger's Cats is basically evidence that proves that the feeding a raw food diet is good. So it's good for that. I also recommend, since you're into books, and I love everyone to get books, is Don Hamilton's Homeopathic Care of Cats and Dogs, because he also, chapter 2 and 3 is about how animals heal and how animals recover and get well again, how they heal and how they get ill and how they heal. And in each chapter, he talks about the conventional approach, just sort of the common sense things you can do at home. And then he talks about the homeopathy. So even those of you who aren't doing homeopathy or don't want to do homeopathy, it's got a ton of great other information in it. So that's good. And then I also recommend
that again. The title is
Homeopathic Care of Cats and Dogs.
Of Cats and Dogs. Okay.
And then I'd also recommend everybody who's a member, it's a free for you, or if you're not a member, go to my website and purchase it. Get a journal, and you get one journal, and you make it for each of the cat. You make a separate one for each of the cats when you download it.
Oh God.
So that's a member benefit. And
We have a
it
whole
makes it
nother- okay.
makes it very easy for you to track symptoms.
Thank you. Yes, homeopathy is something that I want to
And post on the forum, Susie, post each of your questions, as you are working with these 6 kitties, post your things on the
I'm
forum.
not sure I figured out how to use the forum yet, but we'll get to that. It's been a busy week of just trying this, and kitties seem to be getting better.
Good.
But we kind of threw the whole kitchen sink, and I used a lot of Anitra Fraser's ideas. And I had heard somewhere that some of the ideas were out of date. and
Hold on a sec. Minicky. Block. There you go. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Susie. You've done a lot of things.
It's okay. I did a lot of things out of her book, but I had heard somewhere that I don't remember where, that some of her stuff was out of date and you shouldn't do it. And that was one of my questions. Like I made her garlic thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, my husband did that. We've been like, I've been with my nose in the books 24/7 trying to figure out how to do all these things, and because we have all these kitties. And
sounds like you also need to have a holistic vet on board.
Well, we do. We had a holistic vet here in town, and she passed away. And she actually, she and Jean Hover, whatever her name is, they knew each other. But she passed away.
What was her name? Her
name was Maria Williams.
Okay. So here's the thing. Right now, again, like with everybody, as soon as somebody passes away or retires, a lot are retiring these days, you immediately need to get a new one.
So Anitra Fraser suggests, yes, you have a long distance homeopathic vet, but you need a local vet. You need a local vet to kind of,
yeah, but it doesn't have to be a holistic vet. You just need to have it.
Well,
read. It's all in the article. Read the article.
How you work with them, because they are just so not into holistic anything.
It's in the, it's
okay.
It's there to some degree in the article. The bottom line is you just have to be the advocate and say, I love you. You're so good as a diagnostician. And then when they make their recommendation, you thank you so much for your recommendation. I'm going to take a day and think about that. And then I'm going to make my plan and I'll get back to you. You don't have to tell them all the other stuff you're doing.
Right. Well, we do have one vet that he said one time, we asked him about the holistic stuff because our holistic vet, she was actually in the hospital at that time.
Actually,
And
Susie,
like, I'm a drug guy. He says, I asked him about something. He said,
Right.
I don't know, I'm a drug guy. And we were like,
yeah,
"We
and he
appreciate
is.
the honesty."
Susie, we need to move on. We got
Okay.
it. Seven more people here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have Lynn Rushing, who posted in the chat with a 13-year-old cat with a salivary adenocarcinoma. She has a holistic vet starting nutraceuticals HBOT. That's hyperbaric therapy, right? HBOT. And started ozone therapy and starting mistletoe. I love mistletoe for people. I've not done a lot of it with animals, but that's great. Great quality of life. So here's the thing. Our goal is great quality of life. And sometimes the symptoms just don't go away, regardless of what we do. So number one, we want to make sure that our treatments are not lowering quality of life. And if that ever happens, back off on some of the treatments until you're back to good quality of life. And the other is what we've talked about over and over again here is just doing the energy work, the energy healing work, your intention work, your positive thoughts. Listening to Bernie Siegel, you'll hear him talk about, he took his dog who was ill to the vet. And when he called his kids to say that the vet wanted to euthanize the dog, one of the kids said, "Dad, we don't do that here. Bring him home." They brought him home and he lived another 4 years. And sometimes they don't live that long. If you go to Brighthaven's website, Dr. Jeff, Galaxy S9 needs to be muted. If you go to brighthaven.org, you can read about thousands of cats who were adopted at 16 or older, treated with homeopathy and love. And many of them lived with horrible tumors hanging out, all sorts of things. But Dr. Jeff, the specific question is cancer vaccine, autologous cancer vaccine. So I'll let you speak to that.
And that's a great question. And it depends on the tumor type. It depends on the individual. And it depends on you've had some experience with it. Do you have that's the kind of thing you work with an oncologist, and I'm just looking to see here. You may want to contact Dr. Pope, Kendra Pope. So holistic oncologist, works a lot with mistletoe and would be able to give you, state-of-the-art holistically. I'm not aware of, and the reason I mention it depends on the individual vet. I'm not aware of any confirmation that an autologous vaccine is going to be helpful for any kind of salivary adenocarcinoma. But happiness, quality of life, and energy certainly will.
And there's a wonderful, it's a little challenge for me to recommend this because I want to keep our mind going, quality of life, and they may live forever. And so when I bring the word hospice into it, people sort of go, "Oh, but I'm not thinking about death yet." Gail Pope, who was Brighthaven, ran Brighthaven, and now does hospice, has a course on the Holistic Action site or at Brighthaven. You can get it. And it's a course about how to be with your animals when they have a quote terminal illness, knowing that by following these guidelines, it may completely turn around, or they may live a long life with that quote terminal illness. And so the course is wonderful. So that may actually help.
And that's also part of the basis for the summit. And Gail and the hospice group part of the summit, along with the death doula, animal communicators that focus on the end of life and after the end of life. Because energy, whether it's in a physical body or after death, it's really still here. We know from physics, energy is not created or destroyed.
Absolutely. And again, even though we're using the words death doula and we're using the words hospice, just think about that anytime you have an animal with cancer, an animal with a quote terminal disease, because it can turn around. But using these approaches will make the whole process better, whether you end up with the animal dying or they end up turning around. And I realize we're out of time, aren't we?
We are, but just want to quickly address Ellen's question about the rabies. Ellen, that really asked about what would you do when all local vets require at least the rabies shot before even seeing your indoor cat. There's not much you can do except find a vet who will see you. The emergency rooms or referral hospitals are often good about that. But assuming you can't find someone, the best thing you can do really is make sure your kitty is as balanced as possible before any vaccine, before any stressor. Rabies is not, or any vaccine is not a problem for the majority of individuals. It's a problem if they're susceptible to develop a problem from that. And that susceptibility can be measured by BEAM and the early warning signs that you can find, all over HA and in Dr. Christina's journal. And we should probably get out of here, don't you think?
Have a wonderful next month until we have our Q&A, and we'll see you all on the webinars and in the summit. So that's coming up.
And again, just sign up if you're gonna go or you're not sure, because it'll be available all week. All right, thanks everyone. See you next month. Bye.